don't want to set the world on fire.
Welcome again, everyone, to the next episode of The Folly of Man. My name is Chris, and with me here today,
Robert.
And today we're going to be looking at the next two chapters of Prey, chapters 2 and 3. Would you like to tell us what Prey is?
Yeah, I think we need to start at the beginning, and then we'll kind of work our way forward. So there was a source text that involved Fallout and My Little Pony, right? And that was called Fallout Equestria. It was written by the author Kkat. Well, Kkat has written another fan fiction that combines the worlds of My Little Pony and the video game Prey. No, not 2007's Prey, but 2017's, 2018's Prey.
Oh, no, it was like 2013.
The new Prey game?
2013, maybe 2016. But yeah, no, it's
I don't. Well, it doesn't matter. I don't know. That's not my job. My role in all of this, if there is such a role to be had, is to see if this text stands on its own from someone who is not a brony. Chris is a brony. I am not a brony.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's the idea. That's
I have
the
to admit it.
That's the show. Well,
Welcome.
and the first step is admitting you have a problem.
There is no problem.
So those of you who may be familiar with our main series of The Folly of Man, where we're covering Project Horizons currently. This format is going to be a little bit different. Obviously, since we're not talking about Fallout, we're not going to be comparing it to that. We're also not going to spend a tremendous amount of time just summarizing what happens in the chapter. If you want to read this fan fiction, the link will be in the description below. It will also, if you're listening to us on iTunes or Google Play in your podcast store, it will be in the description below. Feel free to go ahead and read. I mean, you don't have to read the whole story. You just read the same chapters we are.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else before we get into it?
No. That should be it.
Okay. So last time we left off, Acellus and all of her friends have been abducted and sucked into this nightmare mirror.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where we left off.
Yes.
Right. Black tendrils reach, dark hands pressing them forward, reached out and sucked them into the void. Now, we find Acellus alone in an empty, dark, desolate castle. And I have to say, I instantly knew where we were.
Yeah.
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 Just because of, though I am not a brony, I've picked up enough from the other Fallout texts.
Well, you also know the source material.
Right, from the discussions we've had here on the show.
With Prey. Where it obviously has to align somewhat to Prey's setting, ergo.
Right, but I suppose I knew where in Equestria this was going to be. Like, when they get sucked into, like, this space mirror, it's like, oh, they're going to be on the moon.
Yeah.
And so when there's the reveal of, like, you're on the moon.
Yeah. I mean, it's supposed to kind of be indicative of the reveal when you walk out of the test chambers in Prey, where you're like, oh, right. This is space. I'm in space. I thought I was in San Francisco. Joy.
So in these two chapters, one of the things we learn about is we learn a little bit more about the backstory of Ocelus's queen, Chrysalis, right? Queen Chrysalis.
Yes.
And we learn more about when Ocelus was a starving drone that was actually invading Equestria. There's also reference to her having been abandoned after the failure of the war. She was just a drone that had been abandoned, and that's when she, I guess, was discovered by the main six. Or I don't know what the actual show was, but like it sounds like she was like saved by Equestrians, and
she was saved by Equestrians within the hive. The one that was abandoned was Thorax.
Oh, that's okay. So that's
Thorax ended up actually being blasted to the wrong part of Equestria.
Gotcha. So that's all right.
Yeah.
I just assumed that was a Acellus. Wrong assumption there. But we're learning more kind of about how these changeling creatures function, right? And continuing to describe and explain the emotions that they survive off of. But in this castle that we're kind of lost in, Ocelus keeps finding all these little clues, like statues of, a big scary black alicorn. Mm-hmm. And it's like, it's okay. This is obviously Nightmare.
Yeah.
Nightmare Moon, right?
Yeah.
This is where Luna was imprisoned. One of the things I think, I don't want to get too far ahead of myself. So we actually get confronted by stark, raving, starved changelings.
Yes.
But it also kind of sounds like there's a physical transformation that occurs when they are starved.
Is. You'll see. I think we've posted images.
It almost sounds like when a grasshopper becomes a locust, right?
Yeah. There's a when a changeling goes from this like love deprived form to a full, beautiful, shelf ready, toy buy ready, different version that must be bought distinctly.
Right. So when they're love filled, they look like a butterfly. They're beautiful, right?
Yes, they still have a hard shell, but you've seen the images where she's got like this blue coloration with some red. If you've seen the pictures of Ocelus.
The only picture I've seen of Ocelus is from the cover art for Prey.
But that's it. I mean, that's it. In their star form, they are not really obsidian as much as they're like this coal black.
Well, and they're full of holes, right?
Yes, cheese legs.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was a quick term.
Yeah. Interesting.
They usually look torn and slightly diseased. They're obviously supposed to be a manifestation of the visual example or a visual manifestation of famine.
Right. But so one of the things that we learn is that not only are these starved drones crazy, but they are operating somewhat independently, right?
Yep.
So they are pursuing and attacking, and we discover that they are utilizing the queen's resin. We also discovered that the queen in this case that is inside this castle is Queen Elytra, right? Mm-hmm. I think I said that right. Of course, we'll never know.
Well, I mean,
because Kkat won't tell us how to pronounce anything.
Well, I'm sure there's actually like documentation. We could probably watch a BBC documentary, and it'll describe the various parts of bugs. Because Ocelus is supposed to be the eye part of a bug.
Gotcha. Anyways, so Queen Elytra, but these drones are operating and using her resin, similar to the resin in Prey. Now, did the resin exist in Fallout? Not Fallout, in My Little Pony?
Yes.
So
there is a glue-like resin that is used within, that is shown within the hive that is used by Chrysalis. And it is similar to the glue, GLOO canon.
No, I know, but it's like, it is funny how tidily these all kind of line up. Right?
I know. I think that's. I put that.
I mean, in one way, it's very clever by Kkat to recognize the similarities, but in another way, you're like, God damn it! It's another video game that syncs up with this children's show.
It's because it's commonality in themes.
I suppose so.
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyways, the changelings in their structure and hierarchy, I think people would be tempted to refer to them as like bees. Yeah. The only problem with that is that they're too predatory. It seems more like a wasp nest to me than anything else.
Yeah, a wasp if a wasp had a queen.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, or maybe yellow jackets, because I think yellow jackets have a queen. I don't know. I am not an apiarist.
I do not speak to yellow jackets. They don't return my calls.
That is true. That is true. They should stay in Georgia where they belong.
Exactly.
Yes. All right. I will also say, for probably the first time ever, we are recording this in the Anti-Meridian. So we're drinking coffee today.
Yes. As well, we are recording this and not live streaming it.
Yeah, well, I mean, they probably picked up on that one.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, I'm going to make sure that when I edit this later that you got big anime titties.
Thank God.
Because that's really what this show's been missing. You want to go from 1,000 subscribers to 1,010 subscribers, you got to add them anime titties.
I mean, you'll get it.
TIDDIES.
You will absolutely get it. I don't know if that's the right kind of people we want.
You know, there's some weirdo out there who's like, oh my God, Chris has titties now. That's all I'm ever going to watch. So, yeah, clopping hard.
Yeah.
All right. So, not only are the drones utilizing the resin and operating on their own, as Ocelus kind of realizes that, wait a minute, they're not just hunting. This is like a trap, right? This was designed. They were kind of expecting this. Oh, no. Who did they want in this trap? Maybe it's you.
I am always...
Maybe when they call you by name, Ocelus.
I read the line, and I am always reminded of the 1964 The Haunting. Because there's a line where there's a sequence where the protagonist of the film, Eleanor, gets called into the hallway, and written in the hallway on with chalk is "Come home, Eleanor, come home." And it uses an odd spell. Like hers is not the traditional spelling of the time, Eleanor, and it's like, they know my name. It knows my name. How does it know my name? And she has some kind of like panic attack. And that sequence always reminds me of that scene every time I read it.
So, they also have a resin gun.
Yes.
That shoots this. Again, very similar, obviously similar to prey, because this is, prey.
Mm-hmm.
That Ocellus even utilizes later in a trap, So apparently changelings have the ability to shoot spines.
She changes into something called a puckwudgie, which is similar to a hedgehog, except it can shoot the spines out rather than just curling into a ball.
Gotcha. Right. And the other changeling didn't seem to be phased by this, so it must be a somewhat common form.
Well, it's a common form, and it's also spines, and they have chitin.
Right.
So
I think it's pronounced... Well, I've always heard it's pronounced chitin, but...
whatever.
Yeah.
It is, regardless of what it is, and why the fuck the bug people have to choose such god-name weird fucking spellings for their words.
I think the reason it's chitin is because it's a Greek derivative, not a Latin derivative, where key would be Greek. CHI. That's what I think. That's the tough thing with English, is that we borrow so many words from so many, like it's either a Romance language, which is derivative from Latin, or it may be Greek, which is why you're supposed to say octopode instead of octopus. But the problem with English is that if you say the wrong word long enough, it becomes the correct way to say it.
Which is the reason that plural for octopus is octopodes.
It is also the reason why
Octopodes.
It's also the reason why GIF, it is acceptable to call it, or GIF is what I say. It's why it's acceptable to call it a GIF.
I was going to say it's absolutely possible to call it GIF.
Right.
I mean, if you want GIF, if you want Peter Pan, you can any peanut butter you want.
I understand.
I don't
care.
care.
But the reason for it is that if enough people say it the wrong way long enough, it will be correct. And the other thing on that note is that though the creator said it's supposed to be pronounced this way, that is not how language works. When you create a word, you don't get to dictate how society pronounces it.
When you release something, and this is true of all creation and all creators, when you release a creation into the world, if the world takes it and reinterprets its meaning to mean something else, Ray Bradbury being a perfect example of this, then you no longer have control. Because that's a classic one. When Ray Bradbury was called into some big convention for a book thing, and they're like, where did you get the inspiration for the idea of a censorious society which tried to burn books as a method of silencing its people? And he's like, no, that's not the point. I just thought it'd be cool if they burned books and people memorized the books by hand. I just wanted a world where people memorized books. I thought that was cool. It's like, fucking what? No, there was no supposed to be any kind of underlying censorious tone.
The glowies had gotten to him.
Yep.
Well, I mean, Bill Gates wanted Windows to be pronounced Windows. True story. True story. Windows.
I don't believe you.
You don't have to believe me. That's your freedom. This is a free country, and the First Amendment protects my right to lie to your face. I am not an elected official. Interestingly enough, it is code. It is federal code that if you are an elected official, you are not allowed to knowingly lie about things to the public. Now, who's going to enforce that?
I feel like we've already opened a bag of worms here. Not a can, a bag. I'm talking like a potato sack of worms. So let's get back on point.
Yes. So the other thing is that's kind of shocking to Ocellus is she's talking about forms. She has this like whole personality disorder where she doesn't really know what her real form is anymore, but she chooses forms. She handpicks forms of like things that she wants to be. Like her inanimate object form is a rock, like a boulder, right? But these changelings, these drones, are turning into inanimate objects. Right? They're looking like furniture. They're looking like candelabras. They're pretending to be things within the castle, which she finds very odd. And it makes her start to question every object she looks at.
Well, what she's going to have to do is she's going to have to start writing down on a Post-it note, not a changeling.
Yeah. Not my changeling.
Not a changeling.
So the thing I think is interesting too is there's a note about she's looking at this beautiful, scary Nightmare Moon alicorn water fountain, and she's even contemplating like there's no way that these changelings have figured out a way to mimic water.
Yeah,
right?
you can't water.
Be a moving object like that. But she does say, but they could be the statue. Although if she was the statue, then they would have had to connect the water source directly to their. Never mind.
No.
Right up the cloaca.
Yeah.
I assume they have a cloaca. They have insect parts for everything else.
Yeah, they'd have to.
Yeah.
I don't think the story goes
Food
in.
for
I don't
thought.
think the story goes into detail in that regard, and I
You mean
really
there's no
hope it
there's
doesn't.
no gratuitous sex scene. There's no.
I hope it
Well,
doesn't.
you've read it, so you know. But so you're saying there's no gratuitous sex scene between Yona and Oculus at some point where they. I mean, it's one hole. It's one hole for all your business. With a cloaca. So if you're into that kinky shit. Moving on. Anyway, so there's. I want to say a lot is learned, but very little happens in these 2 chapters. Basically, Oculus comes across a mirror with Luna in it. Basically saying, like, the connection's weak. You need to get to this more powerful mirror in the main chamber. What?
Spider-Man 2. Come up to a mirror and it's filled with Luna. Avenge me!
Yeah, right. Well, yeah.
Suddenly it's Willem Dafoe yelling at you.
A Willem Dafoe pony. If there was a pony voiced by Willem Dafoe on My Little Pony, mark my words. If Willem Dafoe was a guest voice on the show, I'd watch that episode.
Yeah,
I would.
Of course you would. I actually want to thank the neighbors of Willem Dafoe for every morning putting up from the screams that come from his wife when she wakes up and looks over at Willem Dafoe's face.
Realizes that, holy shit.
Oh my God!
He's
honey,
right
it's
there.
Just you.
Oh, yeah.
It's just you.
Wow. Oh, man. You know what I want? I want a buddy cop movie that's Willem Dafoe and Nicolas Cage.
Didn't we already
where
get
they steal the Magna Carta?
I feel like that's Face Off, but with Willem Dafoe.
No. It's like National Treasure, but they're stealing the Magna Carta and they have to take it to the moon.
Okay.
And when they get there, Seth Rogen is on an upside down cross and they just murder him. I don't like Seth Rogen.
I actually like very few people with the last name Rogan, come to find out.
Oh.
Joe, Seth, I mean...
Yeah. But enough about Spotify.
That's about Spotify.
If you use Spotify, I don't think we're on it.
No.
I think we could send our podcast to Spotify through Libsyn, but I don't like the idea of people buying exclusive rights to things.
No.
Fuck that shit. That's not what podcasting was made
for. Well, I had Spotify, and then
podcasting was made for lonely weirdos who smelled of spoiled milk to talk about their conspiracy theories online for free.
You know how much I have to pay him to not wear a clothespin when we're doing this?
Yeah. I mean, we're one step away from InfoWars here.
Yeah.
Listen, so this is what Celestia wants you to think. What's the real story behind Nightmare Moon?
Well, look, when the Pegasus are moving clouds, they're releasing chemicals into the clouds to turn the frogs gay.
Changelings.
Or turning
dangerous
the orange
interdimensional changelings.
All right, so basically we talked to Luna. Luna's like, I've been a bad girl, and this moon prison was actually supposed to be a prison for my sister, and I feel bad about that. And then Oculus is like, you know what? I was a bad girl once too, but I'm not bad anymore. Even though I feel bad from time to time. It's not that I did bad things, it's that I'm good now. And Luna's like, yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I forgave myself already.
Yeah, fucking duh. God, get on board. I've had 1,000 years to think about this.
Yeah, I know.
You think I ever thought about this? God, you stupid little shit.
What's so funny, though, is that I love that Oculus is like, so what did you eat?
Yeah.
And like, can you breathe on the moon? And Luna's just like, well, yeah, my sister wanted to imprison me, not suffocate me.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, right, magic. She just put air on the moon. Why not?
Yeah.
And also the magic recreates the gravity on,
Well, no. There's just no vacuum.
Right.
It's just air everywhere.
Yeah, but that wouldn't increase the gravity. Gravity is based on mass.
Yeah, no. It's just there's air everywhere.
No, I understand that there's air everywhere, but the gravity is only strong in the castle. It's weak on the surface.
Yep.
There's a line about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what I'm saying is that the magic creates the gravity. That's what she says. The power of the magic in the castle makes it feel like home.
Yeah, I was making a separate point, sorry.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. We're good. But anyways, so yeah, there's like a bunch of shitty drones around there. And then we also find out that Luna, in an attempt to open up a gate to escape the moon, had created the elements of... What are they? What's it called?
Vices.
Vices, that's right. So whereas elements of harmony are based on good things, the 4 elements of vices are based on character defects of Luna's, and we don't necessarily.
Well, really, they're just general character defects.
Well, but she said specifically they were things that she struggled with.
Yeah.
Right. They had to come from
Resonated.
her. They are dark magic. Yeah. Zebra magic, maybe. Is that how zebras sound?
Magic.
If that's a reference to Zecora,
I actually don't know what that reference is to. I just heard it like several times, and for some reason my brain's hooked onto it, and I don't know the source.
Turns out it's from the jazz singer.
I want it. Is it? I think it might be from the comic book guy in The Simpsons. Magic.
Sure, in the best realm. Let's say that's what it is. All right, is there anything I'm forgetting? So here's one of the things I want to speak about specifically. I think this book, now that we're in the meat of it, is much better written than Fallout Equestria. I think it is head and shoulders better. I think that the structure, I think that the storytelling, and I think that how Kkat preemptively is thinking through characters and empathizing on levels that make sense for that character is far better than Fallout Equestria. And I think that's great, because if after 10 years after you wrote an original piece, you should grow as an author.
Oh, yeah. I think what it does is it shows, I think near the end of Fallout Equestria, we actually got this level of quality.
Sure.
We saw this level of quality, where the first is kind of like this very kind of clunky.
And I do want to clarify, it's not that Fallout Equestria was lacking any quality. I just think it's interesting, though that was good. I think this is great.
Yeah.
That being said, if you don't have a knowledge of the game
or a knowledge of the show.
Now, here's the deal. If this was, I hate to say this, normal people, not My Little Pony characters, I think the story without knowing Prey works great.
Oh, yeah.
Like, there's nothing so esoteric about the game Prey that you can't enjoy this text. But I do think that you need some base, as I'm struggling with some concepts. And I just have to assume, I walk in, I know when I'm reading it that there's things I'm not going to understand, but I always try and imagine what somebody who has no experience with My Little Pony, they would be, after these first 3 chapters, would be very, very lost.
Yeah.
Because the reveal of, oh, this is Nightmare Moon. Well, you only know Nightmare Moon if you watch the show.
Yep.
And I only know Nightmare Moon because of Fallout Equestria.
Yeah, Fallout Equestria did a much better job of not name-dropping. But this is so much more closely tied to the characters within a very specific part of the show that it makes a lot of assumptions. Now, obviously, Kkat, I think, would have to make those assumptions to make the story flow. If you were to try to connect it into the world that exists, either without the connections or trying to explain every one of those connections, we would be spending 5 chapters in the prologue. I'm not arguing with you on that point. I'm just saying, just objectively, you'd be spending 5 chapters covering what was in the prologue.
And I understand that. I do think, and obviously this was made for a particular audience. Yep. But the fact of the matter is that the quality of the writing is just so much better than lots of other crap that I read these days.
Oh yeah.
And I think that it's a real shame, because in this medium, this wildly talented writer, though receiving accolades and verbal support, I mean, this is something that Kkat could do full time, right? Yeah. You know what I mean? In a world where there's lots of really shit-ass writers, this is good, well-designed narrative structure. Makes me good dialogue.
It makes me wonder about
It's even funny. Like, it's surprisingly funny at times.
Oh my gosh, what's his...
Like, the fact that no one has ever asked Luna about her time on the moon.
Yeah.
She's like, no one's ever asked.
Because they're all too afraid.
They're too afraid to. And she's like, I was here for 1,000 years. It's not a sore spot, right? Yeah. I had a lot of time to think about this.
Yeah.
She's ashamed of what forced her to be there.
What I was going to say, it makes me think, makes me wonder, in terms of Kkat's ability and skill, Spike Lee, the director, he often will kind of do this ping pong effect where he will release a movie that is his project, and then he'll release a movie that isn't his project.
Right.
And he'll go back and forth. And I guess he uses the money that he gets
from aren't his to fund the other projects. Yeah. David Lynch did the same thing. The reason why he made Dune was to fund Blue Velvet and Wild at Heart.
Yeah. But the thing is about Spike Lee is that generally speaking, his non-owned projects are kind of poor quality. At least they're usually received poorly just because they're like, there's not really much emotion, or Soul is very mechanical in its views, but he puts a lot of passion and work into his own, and so people watch his projects and like, oh, this is great, this director's great. It's like, but it's only great when he has some kind of passion,
personal investment,
and so it makes me wonder about Kkat. Like Kkat, if she was tasked with writing something and didn't have the same level of personal investment that she does in this.
Right, but so let's face it. Though there are lots of professional authors, right, that are ghostwriters.
Kkat is Spike Lee confirmed.
That right. That would be really shocking, which would also make the zebra undertones way more upsetting. That would be way more upsetting.
I don't know how they'd promise a zebra 40 acres and a mule.
He's a self-hating zebra.
We can make that joke because that's the name of this production company.
Yes. Anyways, though there are authors that are, headhunters, right? They're writers for hire. Most successful authors write about the things that they're passionate about. So I guess my question would be, because Kkat is shackled in, making money off of things that are explicitly My Little Pony.
Yeah.
If she had something that was similar but not the same, or just another fantasy work.
Yeah.
I just feel like it could be very successful. I know we would promote the shit out of it here.
Yeah.
Not that we have a huge audience. Although I heard that someone else is going to be horning in on the Fallout Equestria review.
I know. God.
Yeah, what a fucking poser.
Exactly.
Get on my level.
Our level.
Yeah, what's the guy's?
H-Bomber guy.
H-Bomber guy, yeah.
Yeah, the guy who wrote he did like a 3-hour diatribe about how Fallout 3 was like apparently the worst game ever made.
Yeah.
I'm sure that's not it, and I think it was only 2.5 hours, but still, oh my god. I tried watching it because I was like, okay, let's see what his points are, and it's like, yes, I know, there are no farms. Get the fuck over it.
Yeah. Yeah. I just want to also make it very clear. I understand we are not the first people to make this wheel, nor are we the ones doing it at the highest level. But it is kind of funny when you've spent years making episodes reviewing something and somebody big is finally like, oh, I think I might do this. You're like,
you goddamn no.
It's like PewDiePie just suddenly said, like, you know what, guys? I'm super Brony now. We're gonna talk about this fan fiction. Woo! Speaking of which, hey guys, it's PewDiePie. Try my meatballs. I know it doesn't even. It's yeah.
It's just a Swedish stereotype.
I also want to clarify. I love PewDiePie. I'm not. There's no shade being thrown here. And in fact, I want to say that if I want to extend a laurel, that if PewDiePie would like to come on this show and hang out,
I think the more possible option would be H-Bomber guy, and even then, that would be not possible. So,
sup, weeb? Welcome to the Thunderdome.
Can't we get beyond the Thunderdome?
No, I can't. I mean, let's just look at Tina Turner's legs. Wow.
MST3K jokes, everyone.
I do want to say, so basically, we've been given our mission directive at the end of these chapters. Ocelus now, unfortunately, the burden of saving the day is on her back. She has to go find these elements of ice and open the portal and come through, but also destroy the portal, but also may just have to destroy the portal, because otherwise Queen Elytra is going to take her entire forces and come in, and at the same time, Queen Elytra probably is figuring out how to open the gate herself.
Yes, and the portal can only be closed from the lunar base, so it must be sealed from that side, which means someone will have to stay.
Yeah.
And someone's going to have to make an ultimate sacrifice.
Yeah, the final sacrifice, one might say.
Yes.
God, come on. Can we have one more sacrifice, Chris?
Fine, but it's the final sacrifice.
All right.
With Zap Browstower.
And Bill Stinkwater.
And Troy McGregor.
We're getting into the nitty-gritty. Let's get down to some housekeeping. All right, so we are finally back on a schedule. I had a baby. Don't I look great?
Yeah, you do. You didn't show at all.
I know. And if I look haggard, disheveled, and exhausted, it's because I am. But if you think I look bad, imagine how the Mrs. must feel. So keep her in your T's and P's, all right? Thoughts and prayers. So next week, we should be doing another episode of Fallout Equestria Project Horizons. And the idea being we will every other week be covering a chapter from each story.
Hopefully so.
So for those of you who only watch the Project Horizons, you'll just get that every other week. But that'll be better than waiting 3 months for an episode, right? Right? Guess what guys actually have a little bit more free time these days, right?
Yep.
Yes. So that takes care of that. In the meantime, if you are listening and you haven't already, join our Discord. Come hang out with us. We have a very active community. Everybody who was active in our comment section on our YouTube videos has just moved straight to our Discord. So basically, all the conversations happen there.
Yep.
If you like what we do here and you would like to support what we do to help us pay for the server costs and hosting of the show and maybe help us to, over time, get some better equipment, that's, of course, always the idea. And for those of you who do already support us on Patreon, thank you. Your support right now has essentially covered our Libsyn costs per month, which is fantastic. And there's many of you that I know that listen through the audio podcast and don't ever come to the YouTube. So check us out on YouTube at youtube.com/CriscoCast. Those of you who, of course, watching us, feel free to download the show. If there's ever time that you can't make or don't want to listen through YouTube, we have thefollyofman.libsyn.com.
We try to be so auditorially animated that it's entertaining regardless.
Yes, of course. Yeah, and sometimes we do try and stay on track. Like, hey, actually explain out loud what you're looking at, what we're doing here for those who are just listening at home. And I have a background in audio, so it's one of the things, it is a little bit of a passion project. I like to help those be a little bit as clean as they can be. Obviously, we're recording in an open studio environment. We're not in a super controlled sound booth, but I think it holds up decently well. If you'd like to email us, I don't know why you would want to, but you certainly can. You can email us at cbpbch@gmail.com. It's been a while since we've explained what that stands for. CBPBCH stands for Chrisco brand powderless biscuits,
which was some weird thing we were going to try to do many years ago.
Well, the idea was originally that we were Chrisco Industries, and it's like, well, for an industry, what do we make? And I said, we should make powderless biscuits.
Yes, and we were going to do something with a friend we knew named Kyle. Yeah, who is no longer with us.
Yeah,
I mean, he's somewhere.
I mean, he's alive. He's alive, right?
Yeah,
he's alive. There's been many members of what is Chrisco, which was formerly Random Frequency, which is, we've been podcasting for 15 years of some variety. And you're probably thinking like 15 years and you just have 1,000 subscribers now. Listen, man, we're not
Well, we
that
weren't
dedicated.
on YouTube.
Yeah, that's right. We weren't on YouTube.
Didn't we have a MySpace music account?
We definitely had a MySpace.
Yeah. I think we had
there was a WordPress.
Yeah.
Yeah, WordPress. Whoa.
I really feel like the MySpace dates it a lot more than the WordPress.
But we never had a Hotmail account, right?
True.
Or an aimbot that answered for us. Hey, everybody.
Check us out on our IRC.
I was going to say, join us in our Discord. We'd love to see you there. Support us on Patreon if you feel like you want to. Even $1 a month helps us immensely. Eventually just making things better. Your support is one of the things that allowed us to do the screen behind us here. Of course, continued support would allow us to do some better lighting. Is there anything else that I need?
It's a better audio.
Yeah, well, yeah, and a little bit. I mean, these mics look nice, but it'd be great. I would love like one really nice mic here in the middle.
Oh yeah.
Not that I want to be Rhett and Link from Good Mythical Morning, but at least from an audio video setup, they have a great setup.
Yeah.
But enough parallels between two weird North Carolina guys making a podcast, right?
I might get at least a better audio space to where you don't have to hear a low hum.
Yeah, well, I mean, your computer is the fucking obelisk coming there in the corner.
It's an old obelisk, but it's an obelisk.
And I encourage you all to check out our YouTube because Chris and I make really funny, stupid, dumb videos all the time. I just uploaded a new one recently. Yep. So hope you all enjoy that. So this has been My Little Pony Prey. I almost said Fallout Prey. It's not Fallout Prey. It's My Little Pony Prey. And thanks for hanging out with us. This is the Folly of Man. For Chris, I'm Robert. We will see y'all next time.
Bye. It's all over, but the cry.
Give him a twist, a flick of the wrist. That's what the show.
I'm trying to clear my sinuses.
It sounds like you're a moose in heat.
Which sounds exactly like a cow stepping on a Lego.
Yeah. Yep.
You would know.
Yep. I would know. 'Cause
Both.
I am the cow, and you are the Lego.
The connotations of that might be a bit weird.